Hey, Dragon Slayers. It's been about an hour and a half since my last meal. Blood sugar is at 116. So, today's video is the start of a new series that I'm doing on fasting. I think that fasting is incredible. It has so many health benefits, but specifically for diabetes and prediabetes reversal. So, this is going to be just the start of it, kind of a if you've never fasted before kind of thing. Or if you fasted in the past and you failed or you found it too difficult to try. I'm going to give you some step by step guidance on how I did it and how I suggest you go about it. So if you've never fasted before or you've failed in the past, first you need to understand the why. Like, why should you fast? I have found through my research, through my own personal experience, through anecdotal research, as well as clinical trials, through lots and lots of reading and personal experience, that fasting is the most powerful way to lower your blood sugar as fast as possible without medication. So, much like when you go to the gym or you run outside or you lift weights or you do cardio, it's exercise, right? So, cardio is exercise for your heart, weightlifting is exercise for your muscles, fasting is basically exercise for your metabolism. So, before you start, you want to try and become fat adapted. So, what that means is that if you have type 2 diabetes or prediabetes, if you eat the standard American diet, if you don't really watch what you eat whatsoever, there is a 99.99999999999% chance that you are a glucose burner or a sugar burner. So, when you go without food, you burn through your muscle glycogen. You eventually burn through your liver glycogen. And after all of that glycogen is burned up, or most of it is burned up, then your body switches over to burning ketones or fat for fuel. So you can actually be in ketosis without fasting. And that all comes from your diet. So that's why I recommend you start with a ketogenic type diet or at least a very low carb diet. So I'd recommend 20 grams of carbs or lower per day. And that's going to slowly shift you into ketosis more often, into fat burning mode more often, and it's going to make fasting substantially easier. I did not do this when I first started fasting, and that made it like oh so hard. I failed probably the first 4 to 6 months I ever attempted to fast. So I think that it's easiest to start with 12 hours a day. So this most people think that fasting only counts when you're awake. That's not true. Anytime you are not consuming calories, you are fasting. There's a fed state and there's a fasted state, right? So from the moment you stop eating, you are starting to fast. From the moment that you begin eating, you are starting to feed. From the moment you stop eating, you are starting to fast, right? Like that's how it works. Now, of course, it takes time for your blood sugar and your metabolism and all these functions to do their thing, but sleeping counts. And that's one of my biggest tricks to getting through these fasts. So, because you know that your sleeping hours count. So I would start with 12 hours a day, just 12 hours eating, 12 hours fasting. And you want to do zero snacks. That's where I recommend everyone starts. Just 3 meals a day, zero snacks. So what that would look like is, let's say you eat breakfast at 7 to 9 a.m., you would eat lunch at 12 to 2 p.m., and then you'd have dinner around 6 to 8 p.m. You can be flexible with this schedule. Let's say one day if you started eating breakfast at 7 a.m., then you want to have lunch 4 to 5 hours later, so between 11 to 12 a.m., 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then you'd have dinner by 6 p.m. so that you could stop eating by 7 p.m. If you did that with 9 a.m., so you started breakfast at 9 a.m., you'd have your lunch between 1 to 2 p.m., and you'd start your dinner by 8 p.m. so that you could finish eating by 9 p.m. So that's an example of a 12-hour eating window. When you do that as long as you can, zero snacks in between, just 3 meals a day, then shrink that down a little bit further to 11 hours. Then, when that gets normal, shrink it to 10. Then, when that gets normal, shrink it to a 9 hour eating window. Your goal is to try to get to 16 hours of fasting, 8 hours eating every day. And so I have all this outlined in the description below. In further videos, I will explain in more detail about how to do even longer fasts as we progress and how to break them. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Remember that together you and I will slay the dreaded diabetes dragon.